Taiwan's impressive performance at the Olympics continues. For the first time ever, Taiwan has won medals in badminton, boxing, golf, gymnastics, and judo.
Also, we talk about the effect the COVID-19 outbreak has had on people's waistlines.
Later on, Staś Butler goes out to eat on the first day indoor dining restrictions were eased in Greater Taipei.
Finally, in today's Hashtag Taiwan, I'm going to tell you how a simple image became a symbol of Taiwanese Olympic history. This is Taiwan Insider.
It's been so exciting watching Taiwan win so many medals at the Tokyo Olympics. We've won 11 medals, which is more than twice as much than ever before. Now, this week I spoke with a sports scientist to ask him, why are we doing so well in the Olympics? Professor He Hua at Taipei University tells me what he thinks and also shows me how he's using AI to help train weightlifters like Hsing-chun win the gold. Taiwan is rocking at the Tokyo Olympics, with Hsing-chun breaking 3 Olympic records and Team Taiwan athletes winning more medals than ever before. Why is Team Taiwan doing so well? Well, Professor He Hua, the head of the Sports Intelligence Lab at the University of Taipei, has some ideas. He says it's the dedication of the athletes and coaches, and the government has poured more resources into its sports programs. In recent years, Taiwan's athletes have also gained more experience competing on the world stage. Another element of Taiwan's success is its advanced technology. That's where Professor He comes in. He uses AI to train Taiwan's weightlifters. This weightlifting tracking sensor locks onto the barbell and tracks Hsing-chun's moves. That way, she can adjust and perfect her form, so that she can go on to win the gold at the Tokyo Olympics. Mind you, Guo didn't only win the gold, she set 3 Olympic records in the process. The lab also uses AI to create shock and sound absorbing mats for Guo and other weightlifters so they don't damage their hearing during practice. And don't tell anyone, it's even been used to gather intelligence on Guo's rivals, like this North Korean weightlifter who made a rare public appearance at the 2019 World Weightlifting Championships.
By using AI to track the height and speed of her movements, we could devise a strategy to beat her at the Olympics.
Now, Taiwan isn't the only country using AI to win its medals. Professor He said AI was one of the weapons that China used against Taiwan's badminton star dine-in.
Sports scientists think that Dai Ziying's loss in the badminton finals was due to China's effective use of intelligence. The Chinese coaches had complete mastery over Dai's shots, including her fake moves and aces that should have enabled her to win. Everyone, China, Japan, South Korea, even the US, the UK, and Australia, is using AI to gather intelligence on their rivals.
He said that Taiwan has used AI most widely in weightlifting because the moves are simpler to track than other sports. And Taiwan has 10 Olympic medals in weightlifting to show for it. Taiwan's AI technology is quite sophisticated, and with its recent success at the Olympics, He thinks it won't be long before other sports start using AI as a key training tool as well. Now, weightlifting is Taiwan's strongest sport. We have 10 Olympic medals in weightlifting. In Taekwondo, we have 9 Olympic medals. Now, what's also very exciting at the Tokyo Olympics is that we've medaled in 5 new sports. Liao and Chi-lin won Taiwan's first medal in badminton. And they are also the first Olympic duo ever to go from unseeded to gold in men's badminton doubles. And they caused a bit of a stir because they beat the Chinese, who don't look too happy here. Now, the two went to school together, but they didn't start playing together until 2019. So the extra year was actually very good for them. And on Wednesday, they got a hero's welcome home as 4 Mirage 2000 jet fighters escorted them home. Now, 25-year-old Chih-kai is the first to medal in gymnastics. He won a silver in the men's pommel horse. His earlier claim to fame in Taiwan was when he was 9 years old and featured in the documentary Jump Boys. And he was also well known at his neighborhood market, where he would do stunts to attract customers to his parents' vegetable stand. That's how he got the nickname Market Kai. Now, the first athlete to win a medal in judo at the Olympics is Yung-wei. The 23-year-old has become a bit of a heartthrob. After he won instantly, he got over 200,000 new fans and followers on Instagram, with some of the women saying they want to marry him. Now, we also have Taiwan's very first boxer to win an Olympic medal. 23-year-old Hsiao-wen is 176 centimeters tall. She slimmed down to under 51 kilograms to compete in the flyweight class. In junior high, her dream was to become a basketball player, but there were no spots on the team. Her coach encouraged her to try boxing, which turned out pretty well for her, I would say. Here she is crying. It was her first time competing at the Olympics. She cried after the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and of her many tattoos, one of them is of Taiwan. Now, 29-year-old C.T. Pan is Taiwan's first golfer to win an Olympic medal. He is also the first Asian man to win an Olympic medal in golf. Here he is with his lovely wife, Michelle. He got around the no family rule at the Tokyo Olympics by having her be his caddy. So those are all the Olympians who medaled in a new sport for Taiwan. We're all so proud of them. And a lot of us here have Olympic fever. But I think we do need to take it easy because it could be hazardous to our health.
Family members of Taiwan's Olympic athletes sit watching the big screen, wildly celebrating every point scored and medal won. And it's not just them getting caught up in the moment. One woman says she felt physically sick watching the games. Another says it was so tense her head hurt. And the list of symptoms doesn't stop there. Dr. Lin of Taiwan Adventist Hospital says clinics have seen a rise in patients complaining of high blood pressure, chest pain, and an irregular heartbeat. He says that's because people who watch the Olympics are feeling the effects of adrenaline in their bodies. Lin says that generally speaking, when we're feeling tense or excited, our bodies produce adrenaline. That stimulates the heart, making it beat faster and raising your blood pressure. Lin says for most people, that's nothing to worry about. Just take a quick break and you should be fine. But Lin says if you have a history of heart problems, you should be more careful. He says if you feel suddenly unwell or get tightness or pain in your chest, you should immediately take a break. If that doesn't help, Lin says you should see a doctor as soon as possible. Team Taiwan's stellar performance has got the whole country cheering, and that's an activity best enjoyed at home with friends, not from a hospital bed.
Up next, Leslie Liao tells you more about how people are faring as Taiwan opens up.
The pandemic has people feeling a little down and a little cooped up. Whether it's work from home measures or just trying to stay out of the coronavirus's way, people just aren't being that active. Then you got the snack factor. A little bit of a chocolate chip cookie there, a little potato chip there. What's the harm? Well, doctors are saying that, you know what, it's adding to people's waistlines. And the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, not helping either.
For over a year, Taiwan withstood COVID-19. But finally, a few months ago, an outbreak forced it into a sort of semi-lockdown. People haven't exactly been confined to their homes, but gyms were shuttered, and many companies had employees start working from home just to be safe. The result? Weeks of inactivity. One new survey shows that 37% of Taiwan's workers report having gained weight over the past few months. Whereas only 16.5% of respondents reported not exercising at all before the semi-lockdown began, just short of 30% said that they aren't doing any exercise now. This doesn't translate into a loss of interest in physical activity, although it seems that these days Taiwan's workers would much rather watch someone else doing the exercise. The same survey found that Taiwan's workers are hooked on the ongoing Tokyo Olympics. A full 80% of respondents say they're tuning in, with 63.5% even saying they've stayed up late to watch competitions, only to feel miserable at work the next day. Meanwhile, 34.9% admit that they've been late finishing assignments because of watching the Olympics, and 18.1% even admit to having taken days off to watch the games.
Now, let's step away from the Tokyo Olympics for a moment and focus on Taipei and New Taipei City, which have rolled back restrictions on indoor dining. However, this rollback comes with strict measures to make sure that the pandemic doesn't get any worse.
A waitress brings food for a customer eating in at a restaurant. That hasn't been allowed for more than 2 months due to COVID-19. But now restaurants, food courts, traditional markets, and night markets are welcoming back dine-in customers. One customer says she is pleased that COVID cases have gone down in Taiwan, and now she can dine in. Another customer says she called ahead and came in straight from work. She says she's not worried about the virus because she's following government rules. Certain restrictions still remain in place, though. Tables have partitions to keep distance between diners. Customers have to put on masks as soon as they leave their tables. You're not allowed to walk around while you eat at traditional markets and night markets. Only restaurant staff can serve food at all-you-can-eat buffet venues in Taipei. At other restaurants, customers can only order individual meal sets instead of sharing dishes. New Taipei has even banned karaoke parties at restaurants. If a customer or an employee is confirmed with COVID-19, restaurants have to close for 3 days. After they reopen, they are only allowed to offer takeout for the following 11 days. New Taipei government can ban all indoor dining if COVID cases rise. Authorities are especially concerned about the Delta variant and cluster infections. New Taipei is reminding restaurants that anyone who breaks COVID-19 restrictions will face a fine of $110 to $540.
Taiwan Insider Staś Butler on Tuesday went out to experience indoor dining in the time of COVID-19, and he has the story for you here. Oh, Staś, you little risk taker.
I headed out to the Hsing-chun Mitsukoshi department store in Taipei's busy Xinyi district for my first dine-in meal in months. It's looking quite empty. Really empty, actually. And the restaurant was no different.
Wow.
A room full of empty seats.
There is literally no one here.
Of course, this means we had a lot of options for where to sit. Staff tell me that they had almost no bookings for dinner today and only a few for lunch.
Well, this is a little strange, I have to admit. We're sitting opposite each other through a glass screen so that we don't infect each other, although there's no one else here and we came in together.
My burger arrives and I dig in. You're allowed to take your mask off to eat, naturally.
I know I'm messing with you.
Then it's time for a Taco Bell-style crunchy wrap and a soba noodle salad. We wanted to share, so the staff split the dishes before they arrived at the table. Finally, pancakes.
Dessert.
Can you tell I was hungry?
Well, that's that. We finished our meal. No one else has come to join us, so I guess that tells us that Taiwan isn't quite ready to go back to dining in.
Next up, Leslie Liao explains why the internet has gone wild over Taiwan's badminton stars in #Taiwan.
Have a look at this picture. Doesn't look like much, does it? It actually just looks like a couple of white stripes against a green background with a little dark spot in the middle of one of those stripes. Simple as it may seem, the image has become a symbol of one of the most iconic moments in Taiwanese Olympic history. Last Saturday, Taiwanese badminton duo Liao and Chi-lin made history when they won Taiwan's very first medal in badminton ever. And to put icing on the cake, they won gold. Li and Wang's journey wasn't an easy one. They didn't even start playing together until 2019. They lost their very first matchup in the Olympics to India. They weren't exactly favored, even though they were ranked third in the world at the time. However, heads turned when Li and Wang defeated the number 1 and number 2 teams on their way to the finals. Their rise through the competition made headlines, and when they finally made it to the finals, it was against Li Junhui and Liu Yuchen of China. I already told you they won the gold medal, so you know how that turned out. But the amazing thing was, the Chinese team contested the very last shot of the match, so Li and Wang couldn't celebrate their victory right away. However, the challenge gave us this image, which confirmed that the last shot of the game landed in bounds, handing Li and Wang their very first gold medal. And that is how this symbol of Taiwanese victory came to be. So popular was the image that people suggested turning it into flags, t-shirts, and even a very creative credit card from Taiwan Land Bank, Li and Wang's sponsors. Taiwanese model Melody had a mock-up of what a t-shirt of the image would look like mere hours after Lian Wang's final match. People also noticed that the white lines formed a T shape and wrote in AIWAN to spell Taiwan with the shadow of the shuttlecock dotting the I. People here sure are creative. In other badminton news, the world #1 badminton women's singles player Dai Ziying of Taiwan earned herself a silver medal. On her way to the final match, she played a particularly nail-biting match against her Thai rival Ratchanok Intanon. Now, I watched the game and it nearly killed me. There was one particularly insane rally which ended with both Dai and Intanon on the floor. I'd show you that moment if I could, but you know, copyrights and stuff. However, the image of both Dai and Intanon splayed out on the floor was so iconic that several artists captured the moment in cartoon form. Dai ultimately beat out Intanon, and an emotional Intanon couldn't help but cry immediately following the match. Taiwanese people, myself included, recognized that Intanon played a great match, and at times it seemed like she really had Dai on the ropes. So after the match, several Taiwanese internet users flocked to Intanon's social media accounts to say she played a great game and that she shouldn't be too hard on herself. And after China's Chen Yufei upset Dai in the finals, India's PV Sindhu took it upon herself to comfort Dai. Dai Ziying in a Facebook post said Sindhu sought out Dai after the final match and told her she performed very well and that today just wasn't Dai's day. The story only gets more touching after you realize Sindhu lost to Dai in the semifinals. Taiwan is having its best Olympic performance ever in Tokyo, and it's making for a lot of great and memorable moments. And if there's one thing you can count on Taiwan for, it's to immortalize these moments with creativity, humor, and kindness.
And before we leave you, here's a look at some of the other news stories that are on our radar.
Taiwanese forces are preparing for a routine live-fire drill on Pratas Island in September. This island in the South China Sea is administered by Taiwan, but is one of many islands in the region claimed by China. Reports indicate that the military will use the exercise to test Taiwan-made Kestrel anti-armor rockets. Poland is considering donating excess COVID-19 vaccine doses to Taiwan. That's in recognition of a donation of medical masks Taiwan made to Poland during shortages last year. Poland would become the 6th country to pledge COVID vaccine doses for Taiwan, following Japan, the US, Lithuania, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic. The Central Weather Bureau issued a sea warning for Tropical Storm Lupit Wednesday. The storm is moving northward up the Taiwan Strait, scraping over the South China coast and bringing rain and rough weather to Taiwan as it goes. And Taiwan was awakened with a sharp jolt in the early hours of Thursday morning. That's after a magnitude 6.1 earthquake struck off the island's northeast coast. The earthquake was followed by 3 immediate aftershocks, and more aftershocks of magnitude 4 to 5 are possible over the next 2 weeks. Fortunately, no damage or injuries have been reported.
Hey guys, we're all back in the studio. It feels so good to be back in the studio.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's a different kind of ball game when you're back in here.
It's been 2 months, man. For me at least. It's been too long.
And we got our masks on to stay safe. We're trying to match our clothes there, right?
Yeah, that's right. A little Starry Night action going on. I think Stash's mask is a little more...
I quite like
it. To mine,
it's very arty. Although yours is very arty as well.
It has
its own way.
fish on it for lucky and abundance. So our final question of the day is one word to describe Team Taiwan. Let's start with Leslie.
Oh, one word? Because I went with 3.
This is fine to describe in one word.
This is what I want to say to Team Taiwan.
That's fine.
And it's please sign this because they're rock stars, man. They're doing amazing, and you don't want their autograph? True. I want their autograph.
Well, who would be your first autograph?
Oh, who would it be? I mean, who to choose from, man?
There's too many.
I guess Hsing-chun, just because...
She's amazing, isn't she?
I mean, she can lift 3 of me. I've done the math. And that frightens and fascinates me at the same time. So I guess I'd have to go with her. I guess for fear of not, she'd be like, what, you don't want my autograph first? Like, that's what terrifies me the most.
How about you, Stash?
My word is a word to describe them is legendary.
Oh,
I mean, I think, obviously the Olympics aren't even over yet, right?
That's right.
But I don't think it's too early to say that this, Olympics team is going to go down in history as kind of legends of Taiwan.
That is true. They are legendary. I mean, there's so many medals every week. tons of medals that we're winning. It's totally amazing. I think Taiwan is so awesome. Every one of you are amazing and inspiring to me. It makes me feel like anything's possible, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So thanks so much for tuning in to Taiwan Insider. I am Natalie Tso.
I'm Leslie Liao.
And I'm Staś Butler.
And be sure to follow us on social media.
That's right. You can like our Facebook page, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Or maybe tweet at us. Our handle is Taiwan Insider. Anyway, guys, until next week, see you around. Go Team Taiwan.